Today, we're talking about hunting in Idaho, and specifically where I live, the unique Moscow, Idaho area. The thought is, oh, it's Idaho. Hunting is going to be super easy to get into, right? No. Reality is, it's harder to get into hunting local land than ever before, so we'll talk about why that is. We also have a specific law in Idaho that you especially must know in the Moscow area so that you don't accidentally get your vehicle, your four-wheeler, and your rifle confiscated. On top of that, I'll give you the steps for new residents, new hunters to get licensed, and some bonus Idaho sportsman's etiquette that I hear directly from landowners and hunters in our area. If you're a newbie who wants to adopt this part of Idaho's lifestyle for the first time, this is a must watch, especially if you're interested in the Moscow area. And if you're already an experienced hunter who just needs to get familiar with Idaho's hunting scene, there should be some good nuggets in here for you as well. If you're new to the channel, you couldn't be in a better place to learn about Moscow and the surrounding area. I'm Chris Carpenter, I live in Moscow, and I've been here for over a decade. Professionally, I'm a real estate agent, so learning about the Moscow area and its people is what I do all day long. Like I said, hunting local land is probably harder now than ever. And to start off with, let's talk about why that is. It's all wrapped up in the local dynamic you're stepping into. If you don't understand the local perspective, much of the best hunting in the area is going to remain locked away from you. Stewardship runs deep in the local way of hunting, which is different than the mentality that new residents looking to hunt for the first time might have coming in, right? You might be thinking, I'm in Idaho now, I'm gonna get a gun, a license, and go shoot a buck and hang it on my wall. Trust me, Idahoans love a good set of horns, but the vast majority of locals have a different main motive for hunting, which is at the core of that stewardship mentality. Hunting is a way of life for locals, a way to provide most, if not all, of their protein for the year, depending on what they hunt. I've got some friends with freezers stacked with game. Picture a 9-foot freezer fully full with all the game that they've shot throughout the year. And if their family wants to do a steak for the night, they just go in, grab one, defrost it, and throw it on the grill. And often, poor families in the area rely on hunting to put food on the table. Because of that, folks in the rural areas around Moscow are very protective of the wildlife and land. It's extremely important that herds don't get pushed out or overhunted so that they can continue to provide food for their families and locals year after year. Many locals will intentionally pass up a young buck or a bull elk to harvest large does or cow elk because they're paying attention to the herds. And if it means keeping the herds thriving and able to provide for their family next year and the year after that, and so on, they'll happily wait to score a good set of horns. But sustainable management is becoming harder and harder. In the broader picture, with the discovery of Idaho, it's gained a ton of popularity with hunters, attracting visiting hunters with a different motive coming from a different hunting culture. Influx of new residents who have never hunted before and haven't yet gained experience can also put unintentional pressure on the wildlife, potentially forcing them into different areas where you can't hunt. Ultimately, both of those things have put a lot of pressure on the availability of local wildlife. But that's not all. Not everyone knows the sportsman etiquette around here. One of the biggest no-nos is when an experienced hunter shares a spot with you. You don't share it with everyone or take your buddy there. You keep it under your hat. Sometimes people will put together hunting camps, which is fine depending on how you do it. The ones that are a problem are when people are just disrespectful. They leave garbage, maybe make a ton of noise, road hunt with off-road vehicles, and introduce heavy traffic to areas that would otherwise be elk or deer paradise, further disrupting and displacing herds. The result is that experienced hunters and landowners aren't so quick to either share their spots or give you land access. They have to know that they can trust you and you're not gonna bring your buddies around. You'll treat the place nicely and that you won't harvest any game that the landowner is allowing to grow for a few years before taking it in. You've got to understand that lots of landowners and hunters alike have gotten burned. So accessing the best areas is 100% up to trust, experience, and who you know. Though they're really generous with access once you really know them, locals just don't want anybody hunting their land these days. As you come in, please treat Idaho like it's yours. Adopt the local stewardship mentality and you'll do just fine. The best way to get your foot in the door is to connect with local hunters and show them that you're eager to be a good steward and won't publicize the spots they show you. If you approach it with that kind of humility, experienced hunters are generally happy to take you out and show you the ropes. That's the lay of the land. So as a new resident or maybe a new hunter, what do you need to get started? First, you have to get proof of residency, so a driver's license. Next, we have a residency rule in Idaho. You need 6 continuous months of residency and the intent to make Idaho your permanent home immediately before applying for or purchasing your hunter's license. Then there's Hunter's Ed. There are a number of certified online courses that you can take, or you can do it in person as well. Once you've passed Hunter's Ed, you're ready to buy your hunting license. The 2 most popular ways to obtain your hunting license are online at gooutdoorsidaho.com or by going to a local vendor like Walmart by state or White Pine Outfitters. Technically, at this point, you're ready to go hunting. But if you plan to avoid getting in trouble for trespassing or poaching, there are 2 more essentials that I highly recommend you have in place that will help keep you safe. Wherever you plan to hunt, if it's private ground, get written permission. No matter who it is, get written permission. We have some very generous companies that own a ton of land around Moscow, and they will most likely require you to have written permission anyway. The main one I'm thinking of is Bennett Lumber. They've got a ton of great hunting ground. They're happy to let you hunt on their company land, provided that you abide by their specific restrictions. The other thing that you should especially get is onX Hunt. This is such an important app to have on your phone. Without it, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble without even realizing it, especially around the Moscow area. And I'm about to hit on that next. As a side note, for those of you who are interested in moving to Idaho and maybe the Moscow area, let me give you some resources. If you just want to get more info without going through the hassle of more online research, I've already done all of that for you, and I'm happy to give you the details you're after. This is my phone number. You can call, text, email, or scan the QR code. I'd love to help you out. Also, if you're already thinking about making the move to Moscow, or if you're a local interested in buying, selling, or investing in Moscow, Idaho real estate, again, reach out. Even if you're not ready to buy or sell tomorrow, a plan that will help you get to the next step is always a benefit to have earlier rather than later. We're here to build that plan with you and inform you on all things real estate without any obligation or pressure to buy or sell. Back in 2018, Idaho passed a law that people widely know as the 2018 Trespass Law. What they're referring to is Idaho Bill 658. The law was motivated by concerns from landowners, particularly in rural areas, about insufficient deterrent for trespassing on agricultural, timber, and recreational lands. Basically, it adds way more teeth to trespass violations and pushes some definitions into the corners. One of the most important portions that applies to the Moscow area in a big way is posting requirements for landowners. We've got a lot of farm fields around here, and for cultivated land, absolutely no posting is required. Therefore, if you end up on cultivated land during your hunt, there may be 0 no trespassing signs, but it doesn't matter. If you don't have permission to be there, it's considered trespassing. The penalties for trespassing and poaching are pretty serious. Not only can you get arrested and spend several months or years in jail, depending on the severity and how many violations you've got, if it's related to hunting, you can end up with confiscations of all your implements involved. That includes your truck, your rifle, your gear, your e-bike, motorcycle, or your four-wheeler. And of course, suspension of your hunting license. Ultimately, it's your responsibility to learn about these rules. As I said, locals are not excited to see people trespassing on their land, and they will either come talk to you about it or call it in. So it's extremely important to know exactly who owns the land that you're on at any given time and have written permission to be there. Otherwise, it can cause a whole lot of trouble for you. So do yourself a favor and get written permission and spend the money for the onX Hunt app so you don't accidentally end up in the wrong spot. Let's talk about private property. Let's say you've gone and you've gotten written permission to hunt on someone's land. Hunter's etiquette would say that you shouldn't invite anyone else to hunt on that person's land with you if they haven't gotten written permission themselves. Get experience. When I originally moved to Idaho, I'd never been hunting before, and it's extremely important for you to link up with someone who's been hunting before, who knows what they're doing, so that you can learn the ropes from them. When you have that experience, you know how to keep from pushing the game out of an area and how to keep from overhunting so that herds stay full, healthy, and available. So to wrap it all up, learn to steward, not just hunt. Be a hunter of integrity that other hunters and landowners can trust and learn the rules. If you're watching this video and you're already thinking about moving to Moscow, or if you're interested in buying, selling, or investing in Moscow, Idaho real estate, let me know. This is my number. You can call, text, email, or scan the QR code and we'll get connected. Or if you're just learning about Moscow, either of these two videos on the screen has some more helpful information for you too.